Welcome to the official Personality Guru. The dark side of ESTPs is actually something they feel open and expressive about. They can often be interested in darker things like collecting creepy items or listening to serial killer documentaries. This dark side is something that gives the ESTP balance in their lives, and often is not hidden from others. They're comfortable sharing their darkness with others because they understand that everyone has darkness in their personalities. They are generally positive and hardworking people, but their dark side is tied to their sense of adventure and curiosity. Today, let's talk about ESTP Shadow, the dark side of ESTP. Before we start, make sure to subscribe to the official Personality Guru and ring the bell icon to get regular updates on our latest uploads. And if you like this video, click the thumbs up button and share it with your friends. The shadow is a concept that Swiss psychologist Carl Jung developed to explain the hidden parts of our personality that we are less aware of. Each of the 16 personality types represents what would be considered the conscious ego. Over the course of its development, the conscious ego selects what it does and does not accept or recognize it as a part of its ego identity. Consequently, there will be aspects of ourselves that we disown and ignore. These qualities and characteristics are what gets pushed to the background of our psyche and become part of the unconscious shadow complex. Jungian analyst John Beebe later conceptualized the shadow in terms of archetypal roles played by the cognitive functions not included in the personality type of the conscious ego. In the case of ESTP, these functions are SI, TE, FI, and NE, and this happens to also be the function stack of the ISTJ personality type. Here's a look at how the ESTP shadow functions play out. ESTP fifth function, SI opposing. SI opposing manifests as an antagonistic and stubborn response when ESTP's dominant extroverted sensing is being obstructed or opposed. ESTPs have SE hero, which means that living in the moment and taking life as it comes is their primary mode of existence. ESTPs are all about dealing with the situations that are in front of them, and they don't like having their freedom to be so limited. They tend to take action without much delay or concern about the future ramifications or the past, aside from surpassing past achievements. Additionally, for ESTPs, seeing is believing, and so they tend to distrust so-called facts and statistics that don't line up with what they've observed and experienced directly. ESTPs can be argumentative and impatient when their real-time instincts are hamstrung by rigid protocols and slow-moving bureaucratic processes. The nature of extroverted sensing is bold, adventurous, and highly reactive, and this contrasts sharply with the more cautionary and memory-based character of introverted sensing. ESTPs likes to keep moving and make things happen immediately. They can easily feel obstructed by inconvenient details and rules that they view as unnecessary roadblocks in the way of their plans. ESTP sixth function, TE critical parent. ESTP's second shadow function and sixth function overall is extroverted thinking. The sixth function is associated with the archetype of the critical parent of witch or cynics. ESTPs like to maintain an openness to information, but when it comes time to make decisions, they utilize judgment that is objective and logical by way of their auxiliary introverted thinking. Additionally, ESTP's auxiliary TI provides them a sense of inner control and capacity for understanding, analyzing, and solving problems. TE critical parent, however, emerges in response to having their introverted thinking process negated or taken for granted by others. ESTPs can then become stern and hypercritical in their attitude about the external logic of how objects in their surroundings are organized and the standards, capabilities, and efficiencies of how others perform. ESTP's TE critical parent can be tyrannical and overbearing with a tendency to excoriate others for technical flaws, substandard quality, and poor logistical planning at every turn. Sounds like a lot like the abrasive TV chef, Gordon Ramsay. ESTP's seventh function, FI trickster. ESTP's third shadow function is introverted feeling. This is the seventh function in their cognitive stack. The seventh function is associated with the archetypal role of the trickster. The trickster can be described as the often mischievous instinct for tricking and making a fool out of others who try to trap or double-bind us. It is something of a deceptive defense mechanism for getting oneself out of trouble. In the case of ESTP, This shadow function may arise in response to a person or group trying to criticize, alienate, ostracize, or socially condemn ESTP for their conduct, or perhaps being affiliated with people or organizations that are deemed bad in some way. FI TRICKSTER compels ESTP to undermine their critics' credibility by making personal attacks against their moral character, ulterior motives, and integrity. Even if there is legitimacy to the criticisms being levied against them, ESTPs can effectively and smoothly deflect the heat away from them back onto the persons it's coming from. ESTP 8th function, NE demon. Lastly, we have ESTP's 4th and final shadow function, NE demon. ESTPs have inferior introverted intuition, which means simply that they are much more focused on the immediate and tangible experience of the real world than the abstract and imaginative vision of its implications. The inferior function can often be a source of insecurity and embarrassment. People often overestimate their inferior function, and so, when they experience a significant failure that exposes their incompetence with it, the disillusionment can threaten their self-esteem and ego worth. ESTP's NE demon emerges to compensate for their NI shortfalls and does so in ways that are highly invidious and disparaging. They may attribute their NI-related failures to the evil of others trying to destroy them, rather than look within to find ways to improve and learn. The demon function compels us to cast blame on others and look for external causes and explanations for why we failed. Furthermore, ESTP's NE demon emerges when their SE hero feels helpless and vulnerable. NE demon takes control in a rather narcissistic manner and attempts to forcefully succeed where they previously fell short by opening themselves up to a myriad of hypothetical possibilities that are highly experimental, wild, and impractical. 1. They are demanding. In a wide variety of contexts, ESTPs are frustratingly demanding of others. They thrive in leadership roles due to their charisma and need for freedom, but fail to see how their demands affect others. They assume that their perspective is the right one and that all others are fundamentally wrong. Their inability to listen does not help. In the workplace, they set clear and short-term goals which employees appreciate, but leave little room for expansion upon their ideas by others. 2. They fail to see the bigger picture. ESTP personalities live in the here and now and make their decisions accordingly. Their inability to think about the future causes them to make rash decisions based on little evidence. While they aren't considered emotional thinkers, they're focused to the point that they don't have much foresight in decision-making and prefer to see immediate results rather than prolonged judgment in the interest of full understanding. They might make each part perfectly, but they don't fit together to make a perfect whole. This also makes them prone to failing in relationships, romantic and otherwise. Their interest isn't held for long, so they often fail to stick around and work on the relationship as a whole. They might believe that they put in effort on the surface, like showering you with gifts and lavish dates, but they have trouble seeing the relationship as a whole and therefore might struggle to make it successful. How about you as an ESTP or any other personality type? What do you think are your dark sides? Be sure to watch until the end and share your experience for a chance to have your comment pinned. 3. They are rule breakers. This can be a good thing in the right setting. However, ESTPs prefer to make their own rules and those around them better accommodate them. In school, ESTPs have reputations as troublemakers, often leading those around them into the same behaviors because of their ability to be convincing. In adulthood, they might take larger risks in coloring outside the lines and getting into legal trouble. Of course, with proper effort and self-control, ESTPs are smart enough to avoid the trouble that comes with breaking the rules. They just often choose not to. ESTPs feel confined with the structure of rules, which leads to their difficulty in success at school and in mundane work positions. They have the second lowest college GPAs of all Myers-Briggs type. They'd much rather have total control and variety in their work, focusing mostly on hands-on activities. In short, they're easily bored and need constant stimulation. Before we continue, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give us a like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the official Personality Guru for more amazing videos. Don't forget to ring the bell icon to stay updated with our content. 4. They speak before they think. While ESTPs are cunning speakers, many of their words are spoken without consideration of consequences. Additionally, they don't listen much. If you have an ESTP in your life, you've likely noticed that they won't hesitate to talk over you, even if you're opening your heart to them. They will disregard the details of a conversation and may unintentionally hurt your feelings with their extreme lack of a filter. If you slip up, an ESTP will be the first to shamelessly call you out. They're also horrible secret keepers. If you want to confide in something, consider the strong possibility that your ESTP friend will let it slip out in an inappropriate setting before bearing it all to them. You've likely witnessed them sharing their own details in contexts where it would have been best to keep quiet. If you yourself are an ESTP, you should probably ask yourself if something is TMI before sharing it.